Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, November the 2nd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and look who's here with us. A special guest appearance from Andrew McGinnis, bringing back days of yore, if you will. The initial days of the Ice Guys show back in, 8 years ago, 2016, if you can believe it, when we started this great daily betting show for the NHL on Sportsbook Review. And it was me, it was Alex B. Smith, it was Dana Lane, and it was this guy. Andrew McGinnis as well, part of the initial iteration, if you will, of the Ice Guys show. Andrew, a little bit of a reunion today. Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you guys as well. I've been seeing memories pop up on Facebook, actually, of the old SBR days.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing we went off to doing our own thing, but then doing the SBR stuff, that was cool. And it means we're getting older, though. The fact that was like that long ago. But some things never change, and it's great that I'm still able to hang out with you guys and hop on some betcasts. And here we are. And honestly, what better day to join you than a Saturday, realistically, right? So great to see you guys as always. I got some picks, and it's funny. I don't want to spoil anything, but I was looking through the board and I was hoping to show up with a bang with some big monstrous underdogs. But there's a couple I like, but I'm not on any massive ones today. So I was hoping to have some bangers for you guys, but I got a couple of good plus money plays and looking forward to it. But how you guys been?
Oh, very good. Alex, how was the night for you? And like I said, Andrew was part of the initial, cast, if you will, the original cast, if you will, of the Ice Guys. I mean, we've had so many changes. It was me, Alex, Dana, and Andrew initially. And then it was Dana left, and it was me, Alex, Andrew, and Jimmy. And then Andrew left, and then it was me, Alex, and Jimmy. And then, of course, Jimmy got preoccupied with his reporting duties with the Bruins, and now starting the podcast with Pierre with the eye test. And then
great podcast, by the way.
Yeah,
I like listening to that.
It is. It's a great show. Check it out, and we always promote that when Jimmy's on with us every week.
And of course, Andrew, you're still doing puck time, which of course we started together when I was working over at Wager Talk and stuff. So you got that with Carm. How's everything going with that? How's Carm doing?
Yeah, he's doing well. I got to see him this summer with my old man. I actually went to see him.
Nice.
Saw a Blue Jays game and saw a last minute Ticats game. So I didn't even get to hit up Ian. I wasn't going to be able to give him enough notice, but no, it was good. It's funny though, that you can tell that him and I know each other more now the past few years, because we do some shows where it's three of us and somewhere it's just the two of us, and it's so much easier to joke around and get off track when it's just two of you. But when it's three of you, you almost have to stay more focused, So no, it's good. It's good. And he's still struggling with his Sabres. I'm still struggling with my Canadians. So none of us support teams that are doing well. Nothing changed.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. Carmine's a good guy, and lots of vino and pasta as well. I throw in the little Italian dig there. There we go. But
I will give, I will say, hopefully, I think a lot of people probably, know me from when we used to do it together. But a lot of credit to both Ian and Alex, because before I started in the industry, I knew, I saw you guys on Twitter. I connected. Everybody always asked me how I got started with this stuff. And I said, I had a regular Twitter account that I had when I was younger, saw people had dedicated betting Twitter accounts. So I made my own one, followed you guys, you guys followed me back, and we started chatting and we met through SBR stuff. So appreciate everything you guys have done for me. That's for sure.
Actually, the first time when Andrew was a regular on the Ice Guys show years ago, it was like him just getting into the business at that time for the very first time. So it's pretty crazy to see even how Andrew's improved and advanced here in 8 years. And it's just crazy, 8 years. Absolutely nuts.
And Alex's Hawks were a regular playoff team back then.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How times have changed.
No doubt. And of course the Habs, and that's another story too. The team that's playing hard, but not playing well defensively. And we'll get to that.
Getting better though.
Later.
Getting better.
But, getting better. The effort's good and the young talent's good. Definitely.
They're fun to watch.
There's a magician already with the puck on his stick. You can see it every single game. Fun to
I
watch.
think for years when they were rebuilding, they were just a struggling team rebuilding. They weren't the most exciting team to watch. Now they're fun to watch. Like, this is a team that you don't know if they're going to win or lose a game. Like, you really you have that's a good feel to have when you're rebuilding. When you get to that part of the rebuild, that's when it's more enjoyable. That's when the fans can kind of you can breathe again and be like, hey, we're not just trying to tank everything. We're actually trying to do something in a positive light. So.
Well, they were down 2-1 the other day, or up 2-1 the other day. Like, it sucks when you can't even be happy. Like, I'm just like, something's gonna happen, and then bang, they're down 4-2. It's like it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long for it to change.
Yeah, no question. Montreal's on the card today. They're in Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins, so we'll definitely be able to talk about that game. Let's get back to last night. As always, we start the show with the recap of what happened on Friday. Very entertaining first of two games, and of course the second of two games in Tampere, as it's pronounced, over in Finland between Dallas and Florida. And Panthers, man, what a performance by the Panthers there in that game yesterday. Barkov, what a show by him. He was dominant, playing in his hometown, not just his home country, his hometown. He's from Tampere, Finland. And you saw Alexander Barkov with 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points in the game. Ended up hitting a plus 1,100 over 2.5 points on Alexander Barkov in that game. So I was very happy to see that. A lot of props. I took a shot with some of these lower tier Finnish players like Esa Lindell. I sprinkled just a couple of bucks on him at 12-1 to score. Sure enough, he did for the Dallas Stars. Just bet the Finland players, and man, they all showed up except Roope Hintz. He kind of pissed me off because I like the point parlay and the goal parlay with him and Barkov, and we were just needing hints on that. And he had a great chance in the third period, and he gets robbed on a breakaway twice by Sergei Bobrovsky in that game, or else we could have had the point parlay with him and Barkov cashing in, and the goal parlay for that matter. But a nice win for Florida. They are just underway right now, first period, the rematch, Stars and Panthers. And like I said, I'm pretty much on a lot of the same player props, not quite as heavily invested today as I was yesterday, but we still, to me, Hintz is worth coming back to today in that game. We'll see if he can get on the board. I mean, he did get robbed on a breakaway by Bobrovsky, so we'll see how that one plays out. Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, have you noticed a price change amongst any of the Finnish players from yesterday to today? And that's something that we should probably keep an eye on.
Not much,
okay. I was gonna say, moving forward, I'm wondering, is that something that will be a trend now? Will bookmakers start to pay attention to that angle? Because I think it's very valid. Like, the reason we even have these global games is for these guys to go back home. So it makes sense to zero in on the natives being back home and those props. But maybe that's something that the books start to adjust. If they don't, then that's awesome. But it's something we might have to just start kind of gauging when you start, especially from game 1 to game 2 of these two game sets.
Yeah, there's no question. And again, they're just underway, Stars and Panthers right now, the rematch. The other games yesterday, we saw the New York Rangers beat Ottawa 2-1. Ottawa played a really good road game. They got Shesterkin, unfortunately, and that's going to have 40 shots for the Ottawa Senators in that game. Shout out to Danny DeKaiser. Great job on the show yesterday, former defenseman with the Red Wings. He dropped Adam Gaudette, Ottawa Senators, plus 900 as his bargain bin special of the night, and it cashes in. He scores the only goal for Ottawa. You got to keep looking toward Gaudette right now. He's got goals in half of Ottawa's games, even though he plays down the lineup. He made the team on a PTO out of training camp, and you're seeing why. He has been a very, very pleasant addition to this hockey team, giving them a bit of a jolt offensively, which has been great to see. And the Rangers get a nice 2-1 win there. Winnipeg 6-2 over Columbus, 10-1. The beat goes on for the Jets. What an incredible start to the year. The only loss still to Toronto. Great start to the year. No Hellebuck, no problem. Eric Comrie was pretty solid in net last night for the Jets. The Buffalo Sabres fall 4-3 to the New York Islanders as the Islanders finally get their offense going. And this angle, man, it has become, we have unearthed treasure at the bottom of the sea. We have unearthed a true gem with this Ice Guys system play. It is unbelievable, the results we are seeing now with this incredible system that we keep on rocking with. Teams off a shutout loss. And of course, that was the New York Islanders last night. What are we now? 15-2, first period over. The next game after a shutout.
I've been doing
loss.
That too.
Absolutely.
I've been doing the same thing.
Yeah, Andrew, we have talked about this now for weeks on this show. And I noticed it in the first week of the season. A lot of these teams that are getting shut out the next game, these games are flying over the total. At Seattle and Nashville, it's the first time I recognized it. I'm like, Seattle was off a shutout and Nashville was off a shutout loss in the same game, and they were playing each other the next game. And the game was like 7-3. And the first period, I'm like, I'm going to have to keep tracking this, see how it does. And sure enough, Andrew, teams off a shutout loss in the next game, 15-2 first period over, and 13-4. Well, I'm screwing up the full game numbers now. God damn it.
And the crazy thing is, Ian, it's not just like 1-1 is the final score after the first period either. It's like I had Bruins and Canes first period over the other day. And I thought it was a bad travel spot for the Canes too, like successful road trip back at home. Bang, 4-1. Like it wasn't even just 1-1. It's like, Alex is the OG with these first period plays, but now it's more so about just picking spots, trying to find, the right, it's not like you can't play the chalky ones, but you almost feel better about it when you can get like a -120, you know what I mean? And like when you can pick a spot like that, that Bruins Canes was -120. And like you guys say, a lot of times it's the same thing as, I didn't have the stones to do it, but last night, that Flames game, I leaned towards the under. Because they're just getting rocked every single game. They needed a good defensive effort. And sometimes those teams that are getting shut out, they're just like, we need to score. And so you guys are right. It's a good angle, Ian, because at the end of the day, it's desperation. But at the same time, when you do that, you're giving up defense to play offense, right? Yeah. You're kind of sacrificing that.
And I think the system kind of grew too from what we talked about a lot in the previews. We were talking about, and it's funny, the teams that that played yesterday, like Ottawa and New Jersey, we talked about how they have the coaching styles and systems to where they can clamp down and get so bogged down defensively if they have these track meet kind of games. Well, it does work inversely. When you have teams that are talented offensively and they are held to a goal or shut out, that's when they say, hey, we got to press offensively and we've got to get more going. And that's what's really been kind of coming to fruition with the system in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, I've got the right records. I don't know. My brain turned to mush there for a minute, but 16-2 is what we're at. First period overs.
Okay.
18 situations with teams off a shutout loss this year. 18 games, teams off a shutout loss. 16-2 first period over. 14-3-1 with the 13-4-1 with the full game overs. So again, the full game overs have not been nearly as like 16-2 first period over, 13-4-1 for the full game. Full game over has been pretty damn good though too. And of course, first period and full game over both cashed last night in that Islanders-Sabres game with the Islanders off a shutout loss the game before that. And that angle's in play tonight. We do have a system play on the Saturday card. And of course, we will get to that. There is a game where we have a team off a shutout loss, and we will get to that later in the show. Minnesota, look, they took my money here. I like Tampa. I thought it was a great spot for Tampa. And Minnesota, man, hats off to them. Now, Tampa Bay was all over them late to try to tie it, and Minnesota just hanging on for dear life, but they hung on. The Gus Bus Gustafsson was good. Kaprizov has been unbelievable. 21 points now this season for Kirill Kaprizov with this Wild team. It's been a great fit with him and Marco Rossi on that top line, and a great 5-3 win for them against Tampa Bay last night. And like I said, tough spot too. After a long, successful road trip, they get the job done. And then last but not least, Michael Backlund. They had a ceremony for him, 1,000th game in the NHL, which he had the night before against Utah. And of course, they get the 3-0 shutout. Great bounce back after really struggling defensively, giving up 4 goals or more in 4 straight games. They put the clamps down on New Jersey. Solid effort in net from Vladar, but more importantly, a better effort from the team in front of their goalie, which Calgary hasn't had lately. So 3-0 win there for the Flames. Keep an eye on it. We got New Jersey now getting shut out last night. You know what that means. System play will be in effect for New Jersey in their next game on Monday when they take on the Edmonton Oilers. So make sure you keep an eye on that. System play for New Jersey, Edmonton. System play for one of the games later tonight. And I'm also reintroducing, or at least I'm going to attempt to introduce, a brand new system play on the show today, and I will get to that. Something I'm starting to track, something I think has some legs to it, something I think that long-term could be profitable. Maybe not 16-2 first period over, 13-4-1 full game over type of profitable, like with this off a shutout angle. But still, I think this new system that I'm going to mention in one of the games today, there's something to it. And I can't wait to mention it later on. Alex, your thoughts on last night?
As a trend's better, I am very intrigued. So I'll be listening for that. But yeah, it was a good, interesting. This has been an interesting week of hockey. But last night, wasn't the most successful plays. Like I said, of course we cashed with the system, but that Minnesota Tampa game was a bit infuriating. I actually grabbed the live draw at one point, walked down to my local bar, and then that's when Jake Gensel scored, who I also had as a goal prop. Jake Gensel, he had a ton of family members here at the game. I think he had about 25 or 30 people that were in the crowd. So when I read that clip, I ended up adding that to my card. So I was on the Patreon card late, plus 160 for Gensel to get a goal. But that ended up tying the game at 2. And I'm thinking, okay, this game's going to settle down and kind of coast. But then you had, like I said, just a great pace back and forth. Anyone who grabbed the live over at that point, I think it was like 6.5, was like plus 140 at that point, and then the thing just sails over. You get the empty net goals, and like I said, Bolts still with a chance, even pulling their goalie down to cut that lead again. With about maybe 40 seconds left in the contest. So just a really good back and forth game. And hats off to Minnesota continuing to play well in what was a really tough spot. You think they could easily lay an egg first home game after a very successful road trip, and so now they just keep things going in the right direction. And for Tampa, that's not a bad loss. This is actually kind of a spot where we talk about we like to bet Tampa off of losses because they're a good bounce back team. This is definitely one of those prime spots where I have Tampa circled in the next contest.
Andrew, any thoughts from you on Friday? I know you were at a Halifax Mooseheads game. I saw that picture on Twitter. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I'll tell you that game, just real quick, it was fun, so funny because like at one point I saw someone post a tweet online saying this is the epitome of junior hockey, and like the team I was cheering for was getting outshot like 33 to like 4 or like something insane, and the team I was cheering for was up 1-0. And like it was just like it was like a park the bus mentality, like don't give up any big chances, but they're good and so pretty much they have like a really good goalie, and depending on if they're not very good at the deadline or not, they'll probably be trading him away. But like this goalie is going to just get destroyed every night, and if they win any game, it's going to be because he had like 40 saves. So like they ended up winning 2-1 in a shootout, and the whole game we watched them play in their own end. But that was a really good time. Thoughts for me? I had the Islanders money line. That was my only play of the day yesterday. It was nice to kind of have a low volume night. Yeah, I mean, this Minnesota team, I got to give my credit to them. I mean, geez, there's no real flat spots for them right now. There's no spots. They haven't really been showing up. You're getting good prices on them. If that team, with the way they're playing, with their records, had a New York Ranger logo on the front of their jerseys, are they getting those prices? If they had an Avalanche, the Avalanche were minus 115 with like East Coast Hockey League players on their team last game. Not actually, but I mean, they are missing like their whole entire top 6, and yet they were still deep favorites or, close to pick them. I think the Minnesota Wild deserve their flowers, and I'm saying that because I've lost betting against them a few times, and I'm regretting it. Yeah, this Jets team, credit to them because, again, flat spots. One thing I've been noticing, guys, in the NHL over the past little while, dating back to last year, good teams don't have flat spots. Good teams don't let bad teams stay in games. I know that sounds easier said than done, but it's easy to be a good team when you play other good teams. But how do you play against the bad teams? And when you think about Tampa Bay and, the dominance they've had over the years, especially the Stanley Cups that they won, several years in a row. Think about it, guys. Kucherov would be licking his lips when he saw a bad team coming to town. Like he's like, this is going to be a 4-point night for me, and some teams take the nights off a little bit. New York and Ottawa, that game's interesting because, of course, you have I call that the money puck game of the night because every single person is showing the deserve to win meter and the expected goals. And, and this is the thing. We're all guilty of talking expected goals sometimes, but it's hockey. It's hockey. At the end of the day, expected goals don't win you games. When Montreal played Seattle, do you guys know that Money Puck said the Habs should have like tied the game? It was like 4.8 to 4.7. They lost 8-2. So expected goals and money puck and all that, some of this stuff, the analytics aren't always, to me, analytics are a long-term picture. So that goes to show that, this Rangers team with Shesterkin, even in games that get dominated, they're still going to be able to win, which is a really dangerous thing. Because I didn't watch that game, as you mentioned, Ian, I was out. And the fact of the matter is, seeing online, people are going crazy about the fact that the Sens played a great game and they didn't end up winning that one is pretty tough for them. And then, yeah, I mean, the Stars and Panthers game, I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself already here, guys, but this Panthers team, the level of consistency. People talk about hangover for the Stanley Cup and what's going to happen. They were able to keep a lot of guys. They lost a few. There's no denying it, lost a few. They're able to keep a lot of guys, and they're playing extremely well right now. And I've dialed down my prop bets this year, and it's gone really well for me. And a guy like Sam Bennett has just been somebody that you have to bet most games just based on the price that you're getting with them. But yeah, that's about it for me. The Islanders, for me, it was kind of a hold your nose type of bet yesterday against the Sabres. I didn't necessarily love it, but I think it might have been my first bet on the Islanders all year long, and they had a couple bad losses in a row. I thought it was a good spot for them, so I was happy to see it. But and yeah, the Flames. I mean, that game was, I didn't have it in me to bet that game. I didn't have it in me, I would have played the under, and I probably would have leaned towards them, but there's just no way I could have convinced I wouldn't have been able to even come on here or write up any reasons why. It would have been just like, hey, I'm new to it. I'm thinking that they're going to play better, but I have no idea why. And that's why I couldn't get involved. I got somebody in the comments saying Andrew's Habs fandom is tiring. Sorry, I like a team. Don't just like who I bet on. Sorry about that.
Hey, I'm sure people feel that way about Alex's Blackhawks fandom. When you're a fan, you're a fan. You support the team and you talk about them, good or bad or indifferent. Exactly, and that's the way it goes.
Oh, I don't say they're going to win the cup. I say they suck too.
Your dog's Henry, right? Henry.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, there. Yeah. I think I heard Henry in the background there. There we go. Maybe some dogs are barking on the card today. We'll have to wait and see on that. This first game for the Saturday slate, could the dog be barking? I'll tell you what, the favorite's lousy right now. So maybe the dog is barking here. We got the Boston Bruins and the Philadelphia Flyers. Boston minus 135, road favorite, 6 the total. Now the question, I cashed a big, and the underdogs for the most part this week, we've cashed more than a few. It's been a solid week for me backing underdogs, just picking the right ones. And I was on Philadelphia earlier this week against Boston at TD Garden. It was just with Ersson in net, who is, easily the best goalie Philadelphia has, especially when you compare him to Fedotov and Kolosov, who have really struggled. And the fact Boston's struggling at both ends of the ice with consistency, goal scoring. And to me, the biggest issue with the Bruins, Jimmy said this, they don't have an identity right now. They've lost their defensive stalwart, which has been the personality of this Bruins team for years. They look slow. I've never seen this team turn the puck over the way they are. I've never seen them running around in their own zone like chickens with their fucking head cut off like they have so far this season. It's really shocking to see it. This has always been a team with structure. This has always been a team that's played good fundamental defense, clear the front of the net, make sure that the goalie sees the puck, and they are letting traffic get to the net. They are giving up odd man rushes all of a sudden to the extent that they have not in years past. It's really alarming to see the decline here. The penalties too, Aaron, who's a big Bruins fan, 100%. Lack of discipline, no composure whatsoever right now from them, giving teams way too many opportunities with the man advantage. It's just the whole gamut. And even the goaltending. Like, I know Swayman didn't have a training camp. I know Swayman, because of that, was put behind the 8 ball, and you don't expect him to be great out of the gate with no training camp, but he's had enough starts and time now. He's got to step up too. He hasn't been as good as he was last year so far. And then you can't really rely on Korpisalo night in and night out. Although I actually thought in his start against the Flyers earlier in the week, he played all right. It was just they couldn't score. They couldn't beat Ersson that night. So it's really everything. It's also Brad Marchand's been quiet. Charlie Coyle and Jimmy Murphy made a hell of a point with us on Thursday. Charlie Coyle, one of the veterans, when they were drawing up the whiteboard play, Jim Montgomery at the end of the Flyers game, Jimmy Murphy said the camera was on Coyle, who is on the bench. He's one of the veterans now. Let's be real. I know everyone talks Pasternak and Marchand and McAvoy as the veterans. Coyle's a veteran now, too. So when Jim Montgomery's drawing up the play down late in the third against Philly, Coyle's looking up at the crowd, looking up at the sky, not paying any fucking attention to what's being said on the bench by the coach. That's a bad sign. That's a red flag. That's a negative to me. Like, you're one of the guys supposed to be locked in. Exactly. So to me, Andrew, that's bad. That's a negative to me for this Bruins team and for the vibes right now. I can't lay a price with them on the road. Now, I will admit, I think I don't like the spot with Philly as much as, or the price for that matter, that I liked earlier in the week against Boston. But his Flyers are pass for me. I did sprinkle a little on Philly. Like I said, I liked it a lot earlier in the week. But again, with Philly, they're starting to get some. They finally, with the Boston win and then the St. Louis win the other night, the Flyers are starting to finally string a couple of wins together in a row. Erson's back in nets. The same matchup as earlier this week in Boston. Erson versus Corpusalo is going to be the goalie matchup here. And I guess the big news, too, for the Philadelphia Flyers is that I believe there's a potential that, at least that's what I heard, that John Tortorella may sit down Matvei Michkov. I don't know if this is confirmed yet, but I thought I heard something along those lines. We'll have to see if he's in the lineup here for Philadelphia today, but just hasn't liked his play away from the puck nearly as much and just wants to see him maybe take a seat and watch the game as a spectator, take things in, absorb things, learn some things. So we'll see if Michkov is in, but I was kind of hearing that Torts was thinking of making him a healthy scratch here. We'll have to see. Small bet on the Flyers. I can also probably make a case for the draw. I mean, we almost did go to overtime earlier this week in the game in Boston. So small, though. Small bet Flyers, small bet on the draw here for me. Alex, what do you think? Bruins, Flyers.
Yeah, this would be one because it's a day game. We'll be on, talking while this game is on. I probably look for something live, but I have nothing pregame. Like I said, I would like to get Philly at a plus 125, plus 130 price, but this is the fair adjustment based on how Boston's playing right now, and certainly can't look at anything Boston side. Total's even a little iffy too, even with over 1.5, 120. Something I would normally like if Boston was in better. Like I said, they have their identity to them. A Saturday afternoon game against a rival, an old rival. We usually see these games kind of get up and at them early. I don't know if that's the case here. Like I said, Boston's in such disarray, and Philly styles that play defensively responsible and shut things down. So I don't really like any totals here either. So pass pregame, may look for something in game.
Torts was livid about his team's lack of attention defensively. Last Saturday, they played an early afternoon game against Minnesota, against the Wild, and he was not happy with the way they played at the defensive end of the ice in that game. It ended up, being 7-5 that game? Well, sure enough, what have we seen from Philadelphia since then? Back to airtight, low-scoring, take care of your own end type of hockey. The St. Louis game, way under the total, and, of course, the earlier meeting this week against Boston under as well. Andrew, what are you liking here, if anything? Boston, Philly.
Yeah, so it's funny because this year, guys, I've been trying to stay away from streaks or getting in front of bad streaks, I guess I should say, because I find that sometimes for people that do what we do and do so much content, giving out plays, sometimes we can be guilty of overthinking stuff, right? And it pained me so much over the past few years when I see cappers on Twitter being like, here we go, this team's on their 7 straight total over, or this and that, and I'll bet it once and then not go back to it again, or this team has lost 5 straight and I won't fade them again. But the only reason, or one of the main reasons why I'm going to actually give a nod to the Bees here in this one here, is just the revenge spot. And I know that I probably shouldn't put too much into that, Alex, but I just really like the fact that, hey, they just played the Flyers. They're not playing some random West Coast team today. It's not like I really do take a lot into that. And to me, the closer you play this team, the better. Like if they played the Flyers like the first game of the season, forget about it. I don't care. But
right.
They had one game in between the last time they played the Flyers, and it's I feel like because you guys have the system play, and I've been betting the same thing as you with the first period over off a shutout. But there has to be something to be rapid revenge, and then rapid revenge plus rapid revenge shutout. It has to add something to it. And I know this might sound a little crazy to you guys, but I right now don't even think the biggest problem for this team is their offense. I think the biggest problem is their defense. And if you guys think back to the start of the season, what was everybody hyping up the most about this Bruins team? Their defense. Nobody was hyping up their offense as much. It was like, holy shit, Charlie McAvoy is the small. Remember that quote that was going around? He's the smallest defenseman. He's 6'3" or something. But in this day and age in the NHL, it's important to have some weight to throw around and to have some heavy hits. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the speed, how strong you can hit doesn't matter. And I feel like that's the deal with the Bruins right now. They got a bunch of big dudes back there that can't keep up with any fast skaters. So guys, in summary, when the Bruins win out of this streak that they're in, they're going to win big. And we saw when they beat the Leafs, it went to overtime, of course. I'm going to take the team total over 3.5 plus 120. I don't want to worry about who wins the game necessarily. I think we do get a better spark from them. And I think Philadelphia is, in fact, overachieving defensively a little bit. So I think they'll give up some goals tonight or today.
What the fuck's going on with this game, by the way? The money's just pouring in right now in Philadelphia. I'm trying to find out why that is.
And you're going to get a better price on the team total the more you wait.
Wow. What the hell? This was minus 140.
Right
it's
now.
down to minus like 120. It's like even money almost now on the Flyers. You can get plus 100 as low as plus.
Is there an injury?
Yeah.
Or
I'm trying to see here
change?
because again, they're just on the ice now for taking the warm-ups here. I'm not seeing anybody out yet on Boston. Is this all?
I'm not a puck line guy. I'm a team total guy these days. But if I told you guys you can get plus 195 at the start of the season on a puck line, Bruins Flyers, you'd be like, yeah, sign me up. And I know that. And this is the thing, is how much recency bias do we have to have right now? I know NHL is a really big, like, streaky type of league and a sport that we handicap. You can't just look at the large picture, but at the same time, this is getting a bit out of hand here, guys. I think it is, People have been chasing on the Bruins for a few games.
Yeah.
And this might be the spot to jump back in on them. And this is going to be the spot.
At this price now, it's getting to the point where even with Boston just being terrible right now, you'd be interested if the price.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? New York Jets, Houston Texans, Monday night, or was it Monday night or Thursday night football, right?
Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday.
It was like there were like sportsbook directors tweeting out this. It was like the biggest like public versus like sharp divide they've seen all season. Not that public numbers haven't done well, but the reason
I was going to say that's the first one they've gotten over on the public. Public's killed them this year.
Yeah, public has killed them.
Yep.
Yeah, but you guys know what I mean by this. I'm not trying to get off topic. I'm keeping it on topic, but just saying the Flyers have kind of become like a team that people have some respect for, and the Bruins are probably the Bruins. And who could we say probably? At one point, it was the Oilers, were probably the two teams that people were like, "Wow, we can make money fading these teams."
Yeah.
So, and even the other day when McDavid was out, I bet you a lot of people bet against the Oilers.
Yeah. Yeah, no
so
doubt.
Give me the team total, guys. Plus 120
total for the Bruins. Okay, this is what Andrew likes. Not much for props. I don't know if it's going to be a high score. Corpusalo, though, kind of worries me, but he did play well in a loss to the Flyers earlier this week. They didn't score for him. He actually played pretty good. See if he can play well again here in this one. All right, next up, we've got Chicago and Los Angeles. We've got the Kings minus 190, home favorites, 6 the total. This is that game with the system play, the new system play that I am talking about. And I want to see if there's something to this. And by the way, that's wrong. That is LA.
That was a Sharks, Kings, fucking, LA team. California team. Why not?
There we go. Chicago, LA. There we go. This is the potential new system play. It's 2-0 this season so far. We don't know if it's going to be, the 15-2, 16-2 type of success we've seen with overs with teams off a shutout loss in the first period, or 13-4-1 with full game overs in games for teams off a shutout loss. But it's 2-0 so far. I'm tracking it. I'm seeing how it does. And this is the angle, potentially the new system play. Betting on teams the game after losing to the San Jose Sharks. Why is that something I want to keep an eye on? Because we think the San Jose Sharks are one of the worst teams in the NHL, like they were last year. When a team loses to a team like San Jose, there's a real slap in the face element to it. There's a splash of cold water, a dose of reality, a wake-up call maybe that comes out of it when you lose to a team like the San Jose Sharks. So San Jose's won 3 games in a row. The first 2 wins they had, one was against Utah, the other was against LA. After Utah blew that game and lost to San Jose, which gave San Jose their first win, Utah bounced back and steamrolled Calgary 5-1 in the next game. LA, after losing to San Jose, bounced back the very next night and took care of Vegas at home after losing to the San Jose Sharks. So there you go. There's your 2-0 so far. Betting on teams after losing to the San Jose Sharks. And that angle is in play here, and I'm taking a shot with Chicago here, plus 160 after losing to the San Jose Sharks on Thursday night. Now, I know there's going to be concerns. Can't find a goal when you need it. We certainly saw that in the third period against San Jose the other night. A situation as well where the power play continues to be spotty. They just unable to find that key goal to tie that game in the third period. There were chances. They did all the right things except put the puck in the net, late in that game against the San Jose Sharks. And Chicago's struggling right now. There's no doubt. LA's playing some solid hockey. It's not going to be a game that's going to be easy for Chicago, obviously. But this angle's 2-0. LA is now at the point where, to me, in this spot, they're just a little bit overpriced. Talking about LA is not a minus 190 type team that I'm ever going to lay a price like that with them. It's just not going to, especially when you've think about this. You've still got a Riddick-Kemper goalie duo. Okay, that's not a goalie duo I'm comfortable either laying minus 190 with for this LA Kings team. So I'm going to take a shot here with the Hawks, plus 160. Like I said, we'll see how they go. Mrazek's confirmed in net. Kemper expected for the LA Kings here. But we'll see. And again, this is not best bet material for the show, obviously. This is just, standard bet, maybe even on the smaller scale side. But, to me, there's something to this. You get a wake-up call when you lose to the San Jose Sharks. Utah sure did. LA sure did. And maybe Chicago gets that wake-up call. It's not good enough, boys, if you're Luke Richardson, to be losing to the San Jose Sharks like that. And I think you get win or lose. I think Chicago's coming to play. They give a pretty strong effort here in LA today. So give me Chicago here, plus 160. Alex, what do you think here? Blackhawks, Kings.
I'm going to clip your segment of this and repost this later because I want everybody to really understand what it means to truly craft a system play. When we use that, because that word has been thrown around 15,000 times this week, but certainly 100,000 times in the last number of years. When everybody says a system, what is exactly a system play? This is bucking a bunch of huge trends involving these two teams. Just going with the system play of you've lost to San Jose. Now you bet them the team the next game. But you're going against LA, dominating the Hawks, winning 8 of the last 10 meetings. LA dominating at home. The Hawks not being able to do jack shit on the road. All of that gets put aside when you're following a system play. So I want people to understand that yes, you
like
can
last
make
night. Was I
modifications.
thrilled about betting overs with the New York Islanders? Fuck no.
Nope.
Of course not. Who would be after the last
Right.
2 games? It was still a hit. Yep.
Right. So that's the important thing that needs to be noted about when we say system play is what a system play. It is truly strictly sticking to a system.
Yep.
All these other things that where we use in our full handicap when we want to bet one game or one side or one prop or what have you, we incorporate everything. When you're talking about a system play, that means it is lockstep and it is pinpoint down to 1 or 2 things, and those 1 or 2 things only, no matter what other things are telling you, and you just have to follow that. You have to keep the train on the tracks with it. So this is a pass for me because I agree with the system. I think long term that is a system worth playing, but once again, I'm just kind of going off of my gut, and I can do that, especially being this is a team I follow with the Blackhawks. A 12 o'clock LA start in the middle of a West Coast road trip. I've seen the Hawks lay eggs in this spot time and time again. So just my prior knowledge and gut are keeping me off of that back in the Hawks. But there's no way in hell, like I said, LA minus 190 and coming off of a good win too. LA is that kind of team like a Toronto type where they have a great home win. They can easily follow that up with a terrible home loss. So this is a pass for me all together around. But like I said, I do engage with that system, and that's something I would be looking forward to, especially because San Jose is such a bad team. It's not something we're going to be hitting every other day because I don't think San Jose is going to continue to win like this, but it is something worth noting once San Jose beats somebody.
All I know is it's 2-0 so far this season. That teams after losing to San Jose have won the next game. So we'll see if Chicago can make it 3-0 here today. Andrew, what are you liking, if anything? Blackhawks, Kings.
Yeah, I like the over, guys. Over 6 here for me, and a lot of times lately when I'm thinking, that the underdog might have a shot, I think that the underdog's gonna have a shot because there's gonna be goals happening. Not as much like if I like the Islanders as an underdog, it's probably because it's gonna be lower scoring. A lot of times, if it's an underdog, it's probably gonna be goals, and that's kind of how I feel about the Hawks. I think they're gonna be live. I think I would potentially take their team total alone, just this Chicago team. I like this spot for them, and I think that again, I like what Alex said. 'Cause I think it's like a mix of a compliment, obviously for Chicago, but it's also kind of like we're kind of dissing. We're kind of dissing the LA Kings, saying they might not be overly up for this game either. And you take a look at some of the games that they've played recently, where they've really locked in. They haven't had any letdowns. They only beat the Sharks by 1 goal, but the Ducks by a couple goals, and then that loss they had was against the Vegas Golden Knights. And what did they go ahead and do in their last game? They avenged that loss and they put up a bunch of goals against that team that they lost to themselves. As far as the Chicago team is concerned, what was it? 11 goals combined their last 4 games, right? A lot of people would say, well, what the hell have they done that's convinced you that this is a good spot to bet the over? And I think that for some teams like that, it's the best spot to bet them to take the over. You necessarily don't want to be on an over with a Chicago team when they've put up goals in 5 straight games, because the ship is going to come to a stop. But I think this is a good spot. And again, LA off a big win. They've been playing some real good hockey. I think they're up for this game at Chicago. And I think maybe they get going early. Like if I could, I'm not sure, number probably isn't good enough, but I would be willing to bet that Chicago certainly gets on the board in the first period in this game. Wouldn't be shocked if it's early on in this first period, actually, guys.
Both meetings last year in LA went over with the Blackhawks and the Kings. It's worth pointing that out. March and April, they played in LA last year. 6-2, 5-4 were the final scores. Kings won both games. And you're right, it's too small a sample. It's certainly too small a sample size to be putting the units in play with this system compared to the first period over and full game over for teams off a shutout loss. That is important to point that out.
But at the same time, that also started as a system with a small sample size. So that's the whole thing, is trying to get in front of this thing so we can build rather than jumping on, like we literally just talked about it 20 minutes ago. Like instead of trying to jump on a 13-4-1 trend as it gets to 13-4-1 and then ride it. You want to be there when it's 8-2-0.
Be there when the train's leaving the station, not when it's already left the station. Right. Exactly. That's the analogy. Definitely, that makes sense with that. All right, Columbus and Ryan Donato's Pizza. Got to bet it. 4 goals in the last 3 games. Donato's
the elephant hands.
Yeah, exactly. He is finding it right now.
I had to stop calling him that at some point. He keeps scoring like this. I have to stop calling him that.
I know, and you're still getting great prices here. Plus 575 at Bet Rivers for Ryan Donato, and he's got 4 goals in the last 3 games and 3 goals in 3 straight games. All right, Columbus and Washington. Washington minus 250, home favorite, 6.5 the total. Brutal scheduling spot. How can the NHL do this to Columbus? They play last night at home against Winnipeg. They're playing less than 24 hours later because this is a 5 p.m. Eastern start in the nation's capital. So very, very tricky here, going from the Winnipeg game at home to this one here. Washington's just rolling right now. It's very, very difficult to step in front of them. I thought Montreal was a decent spot for the Habs the other night against the Capitals, and then it kind of fell apart in the third period. I still think Columbus, they're plus 210. I mean, it's a big number. I like the team total a little bit over with Columbus here, 2.5. You get a decent number on it. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the Jackets. Nothing strong. I still think now we're getting up there. Astronomical rates with Washington now. And I love Washington. And I've been betting on Washington, as you guys know. But we've been betting on Washington and other spots, before they got to this great start to the year when they were getting good underdog prices in a lot of games too. Remember, I was on them when they beat New Jersey as a dog a few weeks ago. Plus 150 they were in that game. And now look where they are. Minus 250 here in this spot against Columbus. And the Jackets, if you actually look at it, there are 3 one-goal games between these two teams last year. Columbus was a tough out for the Washington Capitals. So I'm going to do a money line and team total over sprinkle with this game. Right now, it's hard to bet Washington under. They're scoring. I mean, look at this run, the 7-1 run. They've scored 4-3, 6-4, 6, 5-6. They had 1 shutout loss to Tampa. And other than that, they've been scoring goals in bunches. So I did find a 6 with this total. Juice to minus 120 at a couple books. It's 6.5 in a lot of shops, so shop around. But I think especially if you can find a 6, I like the over. And even at 6.5, I like it. What do you think here, Alex? Jackets, Capitals.
So I like this over trifecta, but I'm betting first period over and first period both teams to score pregame. You lay minus 136 at FanDuel in that first period over. You can get plus 164 on the both teams to score. I'm going to wait for that 6.5 to drop in game. Look for a 6 or a 5.5 with the full game total. But like I said, it's not the worst travel spot because we're talking about like an hour, like less than an hour flight from Columbus to DC.
It's the time in between games. That's
the
less
timing
than 24 hours.
Right.
Crazy.
That's having those, and that's the thing about the day games. It's not always about we talk about just a team playing in the daytime. It's those awkward spots. And there's certain teams that schedule these 4, 5 o'clock, just kind of weirdish. It's evening, but it's not quite. And we talk about player routines. That's where a routine can be disrupted, right? Like you just have just a little bit different of a. And isn't Washington also that arena where they have that window where the light was shining in Corpus Sal's face when he was in Ottawa last year? So I think that's another reason why they do those weird times to avoid this. How you have a sun issue with a indoor arena, I have no idea. But anyway, I think this is definitely one of those spots where we could see something happen early because of that early timing. This is where the first shot bounces off and something weird happens and goes in. So this is one where I like that full game over. I want to wait for that in game, but definitely grab first period over pre-game, because this could be one of those things where something crazy happens the first 30 seconds or a minute, and all of a sudden the team's up 1-0.
Yeah, Tarasov expected in net for the Jackets, and we expect Lindgren here for the Washington Capitals, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. So over trifecta, and I don't know if Andrew's aware of what that means, but yeah, it's over 1.5 both teams to score first period, full game over. And we've hit a lot of these over the last couple of years. And when we peg a game that we think is going to bust out in terms of offense, that's a good approach. Don't just put it all on full game. Go first period over, first period both teams to score, and of course, full game over. Alex liking that here. What do you like here, Andrew? Columbus, Washington.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I mentioned, how much it annoyed me sometimes seeing these streaks that teams are on and then not being a part of it. Well, this is a Columbus team. I'm not sure they're going to win this game or not tonight. So I don't have it in me to take that plus 210 you have on the screen, Ian, but I have it in me to take the minus 105 as the number I locked in for over 2.5 goals for the Blue Jackets. Yep. We got the ISO cam on one team tonight. We're isolating them in particular. We take a look at some of the teams that they've been able to put up good numbers against. Avalanche, Panthers, Predators, Leafs, Oilers. I mean, this is a team that's been able to put up 3 goals against all of those teams. And albeit a couple of those teams were struggling early in the season, who cares? How many people were crapping all over this Jackets team going into the year? And you got to give credit to the coaching staff, and you got to give credit to the leadership group. Sean Monahov playing with the 2 Russians, doing a great job. I love that nickname they gave him. And everyone talking about him in the live chat right now. I've been giving out on my show the over 2.5 shots on goal for Monahan quite a bit because they haven't been changing it. It's like Alex, you were saying earlier about even just these European games, shocked they wouldn't change it from one day to the next. It's crazy to me to see sometimes these props, like for example, a guy like McKinnon or some of these guys, if they're on a goal streak, they'll just jack their number up or I guess lower it, ASAP. But guys like Sean Monahan playing on the Blue Jackets, the books don't care. They're not getting cooked. It's not NBA. It's not a triple-double prop, right? It's a shot prop. So Monahan over 2.5. And yeah, we got the ISO cam. And this is the thing. There's been a guy in the live chat on Puck Time, and he comments afterwards. He's like, man, you guys really hate my Capitals every year. And I'm just like, I just feel like I never know when to take them. Like I want to take them as a dog, but they just seem to always get the job done when they're short or like medium favorites. And of course, they're coming off that game where the Habs were up 2-1 on them, and then a blink of an eye, that's like 5-piece put on them by the Capitals. Capitals have speed, and it's like sneaky speed, I would describe it, because you know what it kind of is. It kind of reminds me, like, obviously they're better than the Pittsburgh Penguins, but they're both like kind of like veteran teams, right? So they don't exert more energy than they need to. You know what I mean? Like you can be smart with your energy consumption. I feel like the Capitals get up and down the ice, tape to tape passes. They're in the right spot. Like people will make fun of Ovechkin for just sitting in his office and scoring that way. It still works. It still works. And you know what? Yeah, sure. He might not have that same, those same fresh legs he always had, but I think that they're still playing some pretty good hockey that way. So I don't have it in me to take the live underdog here. And it is second half of back-to-back. Team total minus 105, over 2.5 for the Jackets.
All right, there we go. Liking the team total specifically here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Sean Monahan props are worth a look. Sillinger is getting some top 6 opportunity as well. Fantilli, keep an eye on him. Shinnikov, Marchenko, and Monahan, though, that line has been very strong. For Washington, there's some props I like. Protas is worth going back to the well with him with Stroman, Ovechkin. He's been starting to pop in the goals lately, playing with those two. And, of course, Connor McMichael. We cashed a bargain bin special with Connor McMichael earlier this week for Washington. He's heating up. His goal prop, once again, here worth a look in this one as well. All right, those are the afternoon games. We now move to the Saturday night slate. We've got Montreal and Pittsburgh. Penguins minus 180, home favorite, 6.5 the total. All right, I finally lost one going against Pittsburgh with Anaheim the other night. Tough loss in overtime. But I said going into that game, and I still think that, even though they won that game in OT, Pittsburgh's got no business being minus 180 favorites right now. They just don't. And finally, they did play a good defensive game, but Anaheim's not really generating much. Even in the Islander victory, the Anaheim Ducks, didn't generate a lot. They got badly outshot by the Islanders, and then they got badly outshot by the Penguins. So I'm not impressed that, wow, Pittsburgh defensively they're back. No, Anaheim's not scoring right now. So let's calm down that Pittsburgh's back on track defensively with that win against Anaheim a little bit. And in Montreal, the one thing they can do is score. We know that. Cole Caulfield's been amazing, obviously, no doubt. He's just been absolutely sensational. Lane Hudson's given them such great puck movement, great with the puck on his stick, great with the power play for this Montreal team. Scoring's not the issue. Defense is. I mean, that's unfortunate because I thought getting Barron back, getting especially Caden Gooley back on that blue line for this team, that would be a little jolt defensively for this team, and we haven't seen it. They're still struggling. They're losing coverage in their own zone, giving the puck up, not being tough enough in front of the net, letting second and third chance opportunities go to the opponent right in front of their goalie, regardless of whether it's Montembeault or Primo. And that continues to be an issue. But they are scoring, and we know this Pittsburgh defense stinks. And I still think it stinks, even though they played well for once against Anaheim, who can't score right now. So I like team total over 2.5, especially for Montreal here, minus 145. I'm going to sprinkle on the money line again with Montreal here, plus 150 against this Pittsburgh team. Remember, Montreal had a bad game. It was not a very good night when they played against Pittsburgh in Montreal on a Monday night earlier this season. So I think they want to play better here on the road. I thought they played well offensively. Remember, they were tied with Washington, and then the roof caved in on them in the third period the other night. So a little Montreal money line, a little bit more for me, though, on the team total, just because of those issues and that concern I have with them defensively. And this is definitely, for me, my over trifecta. First period over, full game over, both teams to score. I mean, Montreal offense, we trust more than their defense, and we certainly think that about Pittsburgh right now as well. So over trifecta, Montreal money line, Montreal team total is what I'm looking at. Nedeljkovic, Montembeault, by the way, is your confirmed goaltending matchup here. Alex, Canadiens, Penguins.
Yeah, same deal. Over trifecta, but I'm waiting for both overs live. And like I said, this number just got completely out of hand. I don't even see a whole lot of one. The 1.5s of the first period over are like 170, and there's some twos floating around as well. So, obviously we're at that point where we're going to start seeing higher juice on these first period totals, but we're not in the range of where we need to be betting twos right now. So there's no reason to do that. We can wait for that. Two will easily drop to 1.5 minus 150 in game in about a minute. So we'll be waiting for both totals in game and grab first period both teams to score pregame and have that in pocket. And I also do have a bargain bin player selected in this game as well.
There are a lot of props I like. Caulfield to score. I'm going to give it a roll of the dice again because he's moved up to the top line with the captain Suzuki and Caulfield, and that's Emil Heineman here for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to roll the dice. Why not? Top line, you're getting a great price on him up there with that top line. Brendan Gallagher, I'm telling you, the old man of the team here, Brendan Gallagher, I mean, he's starting to show a little flicker of life offensively. 2 goals for him in the last 3 games. So if you want a little down-the-board shot there with Mr. Gallagher from Montreal, I don't mind that. Pittsburgh, I would go to Raquel. He scored the other night playing with Crosby, taking the spot of Brian Rust on that top line who's out with injury. So Rickard Raquel's a good prop for me on the Pittsburgh side for goal prop in this game. They're your team, Andrew. So let's hear about them, Montreal and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't want to talk your guys' ear off too much because I could, but I don't. I don't want to vent. But I will say that this is the type of team that when everybody loses hope in them, they win. This is the type of team. Last Saturday, when nobody would want to take them against the St. Louis Blues, they play probably the best game they've played all year.
After getting their ass kicked by the Rangers. Exactly.
Yeah.
They had a good
and the thing is, I consume a lot of Habs podcasting content. And I feel like I'm arguing with people who I don't even know. Like I'm just listening and I'm like agree or disagree with some people's opinions and things. And one thing I will say is that as much as like I was saying to you guys earlier about the game I was at last night about how expected goals don't always mean everything. The fact is against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the opening night, they probably should have lost 4-1. Montembeault played great, so that's not a game that they deserve to win. The only games they really deserve to win all year are the game they won against the Senators and the game they won against the St. Louis Blues. And you could potentially argue they played well against Philadelphia, and this is the thing is that for a team that's where they are in the standings and where they're supposed to be, with the rebuild, it seems like they always need a kick in the teeth for them to wake up. And I understand that's a young thing. And I also understand the fact is you have 2 aging defensemen, Savard and Matheson, expected to be veteran players on this team. and the rest of them are like a year or two out from being able to legally drink alcohol in the States. That's not a good thing for a defenseman. I was reading an article earlier today that stated the average age of a Norris Trophy winner is 27 or 28 years old. And the Habs blue line right now is 20, 21, 22, 23, and so that's really tough. But a couple comments coming in that I really liked about this Habs team. One of them said just the fact that they're a one-line team, and that's not really changing anytime too soon. You guys don't know. I've never been more upset about a hockey thing recently in the past few years than when Line A didn't even get a chance to play a regular season game yet. That was tough for me. You guys know how diehard I am. That sucked.
And that was going to be their part of their second line, obviously.
Yeah,
now without him, the second line takes a hit. It's just
and that's not a minor trade. That's not a minor trade by any means. And of course, Doc hasn't looked the same. He's looked better on the wing than he has at center. I do agree with some people
Plus
saying
minus isn't the be all end all, but mince 11. My goodness, for Kirby Doc now. Yeah.
I don't think center is the way for him, but I think unfortunately they want him to be. Unfortunately, Ivan Demidov is down the pipeline, and he's fine with playing center. But again, this Penguins team, you mentioned it, Ian. The Ducks can't score, and so can we really give credit to the Penguins for their defensive play, guys? If anything, it's just a good way to reset and then start betting their overs again. Hey, good. The streak got broken. Let's get back on track with it. Plus 140, a rare bet for me with this one. Both teams to score in the first period. The Habs, they can't help themselves. They're going to try their best to help themselves, but they give up goals 1 minute, 30 seconds, 3 minutes into the first period. They can't help it. They gift the team a goal in the first 5 minutes of every game they play in, or they score themselves in the first 5 to 10 minutes of each game. Don't love that price. As Alex said, there's going to be some games we just can't help but get some of these crappy prices. Plus 140, both teams to score in this one. And a prop bet that I'm going to give out for tonight is Newhook to get a point for the Montreal Canadiens. Someone that nobody really talks about. I understand he's more of that workhorse and less of a finesse type of guy. This is a game I think he has a lot of success in. And I know that might sound like I have my East Coast bias in right now with the Crosby trifecta. But look at this, guys. The last time the Canadiens played the Penguins, 6-3 was the result. The Penguins dominated them. They looked like they had speed, and they weren't an old team. Every single guy on the team got a point besides Sidney Crosby. I had buddies that were lining up before the game started, telling me that my Habs were going to get destroyed, like they did, and they're going to bet Crosby props. Well, they are right about one thing, but they are wrong about the other. And long-term history, Crosby's done very well against the Montreal Canadiens. And you look at it, Malkin, goal and 2 assists. Lars Eller had 2 goals. Kevin Hayes had a goal. You had Ricard Raquel with a goal. It was a lot of guys that are like not usually lighting up the score sheet, and they put up 6 goals. If I told you the Penguins, what do you guys think the odds would be if the Penguins
was his favorite team growing up, of course, Sidney Crosby, Montreal. So of course, he wants to play well.
If you guys are bookmakers and I told you that 6 goals took place for the Penguins and Crosby didn't get a point, I mean, what would the odds be?
You'd be very surprised.
Oh yeah,
very surprised, shocked.
Yeah. So first period, guys, plus 140, both teams to get on the board.
Yep. We like the over trifecta, Alex and I, so we're on board with that as well. First period, both teams to score, being a part of that. Like I said, I mentioned the props I like, so we can move on to Seattle and Ottawa. Senators minus 125 home favorites, 6.5 the total. I thought it was a solid road effort, outplayed the Rangers last night, but again, you get Shesterkin, there's not much you can do. He's capable of doing that. And obviously after the subpar game against Washington, Shesterkin really wanted to play better. And he sure did. A great effort from him in that 2-1 Rangers victory. 41-18 the shots in favor of the Ottawa Senators last night. But now they are back home where the last 2 times they've been at home here at Canadian Tire Center, 5-4 against Tampa and an 8-1 beatdown against St. Louis. So we'll see if they can bounce back here in this one. It looks like Joey Decord is expected, not confirmed yet. Anton Forsberg expected to be in net. I'm pretty sure it will be Forsberg with this being back-to-back for the Ottawa Senators. I like the over bifecta here in this game. I don't know about the both teams to score part of it, but I'd lean that way too. But I like the over bifecta, certainly. I think Ottawa at home opens things up a little bit more. Coming off the loss last night, 1 goal. And you know what it's sometimes like in these games where you have over 40 shots and you only score 1 goal. Sometimes the floodgates open the next game. The goals that should have went in last night for Ottawa, they go in tonight for them against Seattle. But on the flip side, I think Seattle can chip in offensively, and they're going to come to play. They're off a 4-1 loss to Toronto. Third game now of this Eastern road trip. And Anton Forsberg in net, you don't have to twist my arm to thinking the opponent can score some goals with him in net. So, yeah, over by Fecta for me here, Seattle and Ottawa. Alex, what do you think here? Kraken, Sens.
Yeah, I like that first period over more. And also, like I said, you have people mentioned it in the chat. If Brandon Montour is back in the lineup, give me him to score plus 500. That's I'm seeing that price available at FanDuel. The new dad angle is always something that's pretty serious. So I think we can, obviously he's not the new dad. This would be his second kid, but still having the new baby that comes around. We've been betting that for a while, and that's hit. So Montour has been in good form even before that. Adding that in and at that price, a bargain bin price, I'll be adding that to my card. So that along with the first period over, and you can get minus 135 at DraftKings. I don't bet too much at DraftKings, but every now and then you'll find one of those rogue prices there. So that's where you're getting the best of the value on the first period over.
Yeah, no doubt. Ridley Gregg on the top line, 1,000% agree with Stützle and Tkachuk. There's value with him tonight for Ottawa, no question. Batherson's been good. That line too, Batherson, Norris, Giroux's been pretty good lately, so I don't mind anything. And Gaudette, you got to take a shot, right? Adam Gaudette at this point, especially if you're going to keep getting the prices you're getting with Ottawa. And what a call by Danny DeKeyser yesterday regarding taking Adam Gaudette as the bargain bin. And today there's very little adjustment. Well, now there's a bit of an adjustment because plus 900 was the best price you could get, plus 600. That's still a great price, though, with that. And then for Seattle, we'll have to see. But Tolvanen's the one that's starting to heat up. He scored their only goal against Toronto. I think that's goals in back-to-back games for Eeli Tolvanen. So there's someone with a little value, I think, for Seattle. Montour, yes, new father for the second time.
He will be playing.
Good to go. He will be playing. Yeah. I saw the tweet from one of my favorite names. She works on the Seattle broadcasts, Piper Shaw. That's a good name. Andrew, what do you think here? Seattle, Ottawa.
Yeah, I'm on the plus 105. That's what I got with the Kraken here. I just, again, I think I get what you're saying there about the fact that sometimes if it doesn't work out one night and you should have won, the next night it can. But I also think it's kind of like the flip side of it where it's like, that's the game that they should have won and they didn't. And this is the game that they shouldn't win. And I don't think they're going to win. I think if you ask yourself this, one team's the home team, one team's the road team, which is the more rested team right now, right? And that's the thing is that Seattle's been on a little bit of a road trip, but if you take a look at it, it seems to me like they've had a little bit of a break in between each game, a day or two at least. It's not been many back-to-backs they're being fed. A lot of times when these teams are on road trips like this, they're forced to play some back-to-backs. Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but not one back-to-back mixed in there for the Kraken. So I think it's an advantageous spot here. I think the Sens won't be happy about last night, and they sure as hell can score. Don't get me wrong. I think that the under correlates with the Kraken. I think, of course, the over correlates with the Senators. And Ian, I love the way you mentioned the goaltending there. It's pretty much like back in the day for the Habs. Anytime it wasn't priced, people were like, "All right, load up, get ready for like a 6-piece against them." And right now for the Sens, if it's not Allmark, I'm not playing the Sens.
Yeah, Anton Forsberg's not horrible, but he's not great. I mean, and the numbers bear that out. 3.27 goals against average, 895 save percentage. When the goals against is above 3 and the save percentage is below 900, that's not quality enough goaltending for me, in my opinion. So, that's the concern here with Forsberg in net. And Seattle's off a loss too, and has the rest advantage, going into this game. So I think Seattle can find their offense too. Ottawa should as well. So that's why we like the over by Fecta. Andrew's liking Seattle here, plus 105. And yes, the Brandon Montour angle makes sense. New dad. It's amazing how many times the new dad angle and they make an impact that first game back on the ice. All right, next up, we've got
Ian, he got a hat trick against the Habs, so maybe the new dad angle came in early. Maybe it already hit.
Yeah, maybe it already hit, and we're a day late, $1 short on this one. But I still think it's worth a shot here. We'll see if Montour can keep it rolling. Toronto Maple Leafs, St. Louis Blues. Toronto minus 200 road favorite, 6 the total. If I have egg on my face with this again, so be it. But we lost thinking that Toronto was going to rally the troops against St. Louis at home recently in Toronto. For Craig Berube, the guy that obviously was fired by the Blues last season after last year. And Toronto, had a 5, they actually didn't play that bad, and especially early. They were good, but everything St. Louis shot went in the net. It was that kind of night. And Toronto couldn't bury any of their chances. And Jordan Binnington was very good in that game. But still, it was a disappointing result because they, I'm sure, wanted to get one there against St. Louis for their coach. And now they get that angle this time around again. And now it's Craig's actual first return to St. Louis as head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think this is the spot they get St. Louis here in this one. And Joseph Woll, who by far had a much better game against Seattle, his second start of the year was against Seattle. It was a lot better than we saw against St. Louis when he played the Blues in his first start. He looked more comfortable. He was square to the shooter, no rebounds. He was in control the entire night against Seattle. And now he gets to go back to St. Louis, Missouri, his hometown. He grew up cheering for the St. Louis Blues. Joseph Woll will be in net tonight. I think he's going to want to play a great game and especially bounce back from losing to the Blues in Toronto just over a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So for the Berube angle, back to St. Louis. And plus, let's be honest, St. Louis is a bag of shit right now. They are not playing good hockey. They miss Robert Thomas big time. They have really struggled here these last few games. The offense has disappeared. Toronto gets payback tonight, in my opinion, and we're doubling up. Toronto first period puck line, Toronto full game puck line, Toronto team total over. 3 different Leaf bets here in this game. Take care of this struggling St. Louis team and off a road trip. First game home as well for St. Louis. So I think it's a great spot. Toronto comes out early, gets the lead, wins by multiple goals. And again, Woll plays a great game, I think. And he got back to the Joseph Woll we know pretty well in the last game against Seattle. I think it's a Leafs night here against St. Louis with Berube back in town. Alex, what do you think here? Leafs Blues.
Let's get bold with it. I'm going Joseph Woll over saves, 25.5. Get minus $1.05 at BetMGM. And I'm going to take a small shot, 10-1, that he gets the shutout here back in his hometown. He says
he almost did against Seattle. They scored with 2 minutes left. Seattle to break the shutout.
Yeah. And as you so eloquently mentioned, St. Louis is a bag of shit right now. So I definitely think this could be a spot where he said Toronto just shuts down, plays a complete game. And why not get everything rolling on all ends of the ice? We'll all have a good game at home and get the offense rolling. This could easily be a 4-0 Leafs game on a Saturday night. I can see that. So those would be my 2 plays.
And to be honest with you, there's been a weird series history with the Blues and the Leafs. St. Louis wins in Toronto, and Toronto wins in St. Louis. That's actually the way it's played out here the last few years. And like I said, while they wanted to get the win for Berube in Toronto when they played St. Louis, a couple weeks ago, this matters more. This is Berube going back to STL, going back to the place and the team where he won a Stanley Cup, going back to the place where they then canned him, early last season when things were starting to fall apart. So this is the game where I think it's an all-in type of effort here for the Leafs. And let's be honest, right now they're in better form than St. Louis is. What do you think here, Andrew? Leafs, Blues?
Yeah, it wouldn't be an Ice Guy show without me talking about my Habs and also ripping on the Leafs. So I'm going to say this. The Maple Leafs are relatively still the same team. And this is the thing. I took the under on season points for them this year. And I think they could win around this year. I think they could go farther than they did last year. But everything takes time, right? People act like a new coach, like a strict coach going to a team is going to be some just magical bag of beans that's going to make this team act different. You can lead a horse to water. You can lead Marner to a corner. Doesn't mean he's going to want to get hit. You know what I mean? And you can't make them drink. And the fact is that this team is still the same team a little bit. But the reason why I'm saying this is I like the over 6 here. And I've been a lot more of a team total guy when I like overs. I'm not just betting these full game overs. There's a few spots, obviously, that I'm mentioning today. I like just full game. And the biggest reason I'm deciding not to go with the Leafs specifically is because, to your guys' point, using different words to describe this Blues team right now, they have not been playing well. They got destroyed on their East Coast road trip. Habs, Leafs, Sens, whoever they're playing, they lost against. And sometimes all it takes is the time to get home, relax. You know how people say, fade a team after a road trip? Fade a team after a successful road trip.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily
except Minnesota
motivated.
Last night, apparently.
Right. Yeah. But and not always, but yeah, exactly. I think that sometimes people overuse that fade after a first game back at home. It's It's fade if they're feeling good about themselves. St. Louis is feeling horrible about themselves.
It's not as strong as it used to be. I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that in their core, and I'm turning this into a compliment towards the Leafs, in their core, their true identity, when they're playing their best hockey, they're scoring goals, guys. When they're playing who they are, they're scoring 3, 4, 5 goals. Is it impressive when the Leafs can put on a Berube masterclass and win 3-1? Absolutely. If I lose my bet, I sure as hell hope Alex wins his and they win 2-0. But I think that if this game goes how I think, the Blues might get a few of their own and the Leafs are going to get 4 or 5. I think over 6 is the play. Think back to the Maple Leafs, guys, over the last few years. How often would you even get a 6 on a Saturday night? 6.5 became their new norm. And now all of a sudden they trade for a few defensemen. You bring in Craig Berube, and they're a defensive team that gets 6s now. I think 6.5 is deserving. And I think that the score we saw from the last time out between these teams might just flip, and the Leafs end up being the team that wins this game. But you got to think that with how pissed off they're going to be, they haven't won a game since the last time they played the Leafs.
Yep.
Right. I mean, well, they did obviously, they did win that game. So they haven't won a game since then. So, they're going to be pissed right now. And I don't think a pissed Blues team means a pissed defensive team. They're going to have to score goals against this Maple Leafs team to win tonight.
All right. Liking the over here, Andrew. Yep.
What is a little scary and dicey about that when you mentioned that the St. Louis, the last win came against Toronto. We've seen the Leafs do this with other opponents over the years. They did it last year with Chicago, where in their cross conference meetings they lose both of them. Yeah, they've done weird shit like that. So that's what scares me off of, because I do like the angle that you have, Ian, of looking at puck lines and everything Toronto heavy, but then. Yeah. Being a Saturday night and being that it's a spot where St. Louis did beat them already, the goofy factor with Toronto on a Saturday is always ever looming in the background. So,
well, Alex, isn't it crazy that I had more faith in my like I said, I don't want to go in front of too many streaks. I took the Leafs against the Jets to break their undefeated streak, right? I had more faith in the Leafs that night than I did against the Blue Jackets. 2 weeks ago, right?
It's the
Leafs,
it's the Leafs, right? And every time you see a giant minus sign next to them, that's when you can't trust them.
yeah. Short dog, you can trust that team. Short dog.
I think Ohio State might have just fumbled the ball out of their end zone. If you're watching that big monster college football game earlier today, but I'm
watching this hockey game, and I saw the Bruins get as high as plus 190, and then now they've been short favorites the whole entire period so far. We're only 7 minutes in, and they're minus 130 live, and they're not even on the power play anymore. So they went from plus 190 pre-puck drop to being the favorites the whole time now.
Yeah, exactly. The Boston, Boston Philly, good point, underway, and it's still waiting for that first goal there with the Flyers and the Bruins. All right, we got. By the way, for Matthew Nyes, Max Pacioretty. I think great value still with both. Matthew Nyes is on fire with Matthews and Marner right now. Tavares, Pacioretty, Tavares, and Nylander's been a great look. As far as the second line that Berube put together has been great. So Pacioretty, I think, is worth a look too as far as the goal props there in that game. Morgan Riley might even be worth a look. He's scored in a few games lately from the blue line as well for the Leafs, if you're looking at some props there. Buffalo, Detroit, Red Wings minus 120, home favorites, 6.5 the total. Sabres lose last night 4-3 against the Islanders, their second straight loss. They lost to Florida, of course, before that. Now it's a back-to-back for them, so it's not an ideal spot. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen picked a pack of pickled peppers, expected to be in net here for the Buffalo Sabres.
I like that.
I always say that when I say, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, because that's what it sounds like, the Peter Piper nursery rhyme from when I was a kid. But nevertheless, UPL expected in net for Buffalo. We've got for Detroit, Cam Talbot confirmed. Of course, Lions gotten the starts the last couple. Talbot back in net. Detroit's struggling, but I feel Detroit might be the play here. Minus 120. Derek Lalonde shooting bullets or shooting at spitting fire regarding Dylan Larkin as captain. We need more. We need better out of Dylan Larkin right now. Was very, very direct about it following the loss the other night to the Winnipeg Jets. So we will see how this plays out. But like I said, very, very openly critical, saying we just need a little bit more from him, a little bit better. maybe a little more of an emotional response. Will you get that from him, and will you get that from this Detroit Red Wings team? And maybe a sign of a coach feeling a little heat, feeling under the pressure as well. It's not been the start to the year that Detroit's wanted. Danny DeKeyser obviously talked about that yesterday on the show. A lot of issues right now. They're not good enough defensively. The goaltending's not consistent enough, and the scoring's dipped. Lucas Raymond just one goal. Patrick Kane hasn't really gotten things going this year. Tarasenko stuck on what, 1 or 2 goals this year for the Red Wings. So yeah, 2. I mean, they need more offense collectively from this group. No doubt about that. But I feel after Lalonde kind of calls out his captain, it's kind of a message being sent, not just to him, even though he's talked about Dylan Larkin specifically. I think it's to the whole team. We need to be better. And now they have the rest advantage as well in this game with Buffalo coming in after playing last night. I think there's reasons to like Detroit in this spot. Do I love it? No, with the way they're playing, but I do lean a little bit to the Red Wings here at -120. Alex, what do you think here? Sabres, Red Wings.
Can I just say I'm sick of the shit of these two teams? You know, we talk about Buffalo and Detroit for the last 3 years about they could be a wild card
Now's the
team.
year to make the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
Now's their year, and this is the whole thing. And it's just, and then you watch them play, and they're just so fucking infuriating because they are
damn pod, right?
They're quality teams. We know on paper these are good teams. These are teams that we would actually back and enjoy watching in a 7-game playoff series, but they just can't put it together consistently during the regular season. And it's maddening. Watching that game with the Sabres last night, we both liked Sabres money line a little bit too, along with the system. And it just seemed like that was going to be a good spot for them. And Andrew was on the Islanders. He says a plug your nose spot. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just they're just one of those really infuriating teams. And when you see this kind of a line, yeah, my gut tells me, Detroit -120 at home in a spot where you're playing against a team that is, your contemporary, that you should be better than if you want to be moving forward as a franchise. But I can't back Detroit. Like you said, the offense hasn't shown up. Sir Patrick Kane has been absolutely quiet and uncharacteristically quiet at times. He only has 2 goals. He's got a few assists, but he's not excited. There's playmakers on this team, and they aren't making plays. Him and Larkin, Tarasenko, these are guys we know are proven scorers year after year after year, and they just aren't showing up for one reason or another. And then we talk about the goaltending. You got Talbot in there. I don't trust Talbot, especially being a goalie of a team that's favored. Like I said, and yes, he plays better early in the season than he is late in the season. But this is just a team where it's just too many question marks with both these clubs. And so I won't be betting anything side or total. I will have Patrick Kane to score a goal +220. Maybe he can snap the schneid. But like I said, somebody's got to step up and get some goals here. If it's Larkin, if it's Kane, if it's Tarasenko, if it's Raymond, someone in red has to figure out to start scoring, and they got to do it in bunches.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, Detroit, they need a bounce back. And let's be honest though, that was a really good Winnipeg. Winnipeg's rolling right now, and they're playing well against a lot of teams. So I'm giving Detroit a little slack for how poorly it went for them against the Jets the other night, but we'll see if they can bounce back here. Lalonde calling out not so much the team, the team, I think, but especially the captain, saying we need a little bit better from him. We'll see. And I think Larkin props are worth a look tonight, for a response game from the captain after the coach kind of says we need a little bit better and we need a little bit more from you. What do you think here, Andrew? Buffalo, Detroit.
Yeah, quick note, guys. That is why I love doing the show. With the time we do here on Saturdays, goalie change in Philadelphia right now. Kolosov just got put into the net. I'm not sure what happened. My sound's off, obviously, but they talked to I think the other goalie that was in. They had a trainer out on the ice talking to him for a second. Then I saw Kolosov get on, started doing his kind of sliding around with his pads, getting warmed up. So that was kind of the tell for me that it was a new goalie going in there. And when they flashed
Boston, maybe I don't trust Kolosov or Fedotov.
When they flashed 4.2 GAA, it made me feel pretty good about my team total. But fingers crossed.
Harrison went down the tunnel, so I don't know what that's all I'm reading on Twitter. So we'll keep it posted.
Yeah. But guys, I have the Red Wings team total. I just this is a team total price range for me. I love the +110, 115 number here. The last time everyone's talking about it in the chat, 5-3 was the score between these teams. And one thing I've noticed, back-to-backs that are really close together, like a day or two, you almost want to take the same team that won. I've noticed that a lot lately. Like think about the way the NHL season started, Buffalo and New Jersey. A lot of people were like, all right, well, the Devils won the first one. The Sabres are going to win the second night. No. They can win both games in a row, and the Sabres can lose both games in a row. But now the separation that these teams have had, where it's long enough that it's not like, just yesterday, but it's short enough that it's still fresh in your mind. This team, there's that little bit of anger. And if anybody out there thinks that these games don't mean something a little bit more, they play 82 games. There's certain games that mean more to certain people. You look across all sports, certain teams, players get up for certain games more. I feel like this is a good revenge spot, but Detroit's a team right now that, as you guys both mentioned, they're struggling. They're, depending on which site you look at, they're near the bottom of the barrel as far as expected goals for. Yeah. So some might call me crazy for taking their team total, but I actually don't trust their defense. I mean, when you look at their 6 defensemen out there each night, they look slow. They're giving up pucks. I think if their power play gets going, they can score goals. But the Sabres are a young enough team that I won't be too worried about their energy level on the back-to-back, but they're definitely going to be frustrated after playing. I mean, I love the nickname that I heard you guys giving the Islanders, the New York Tylanders. That's awesome. That's absolutely hilarious. But they also drag teams into low-scoring games, right? Like, no matter who the Islanders play, it's boring. And so the next night they get to play, the Sabres get to play a team like the Red Wings. You could probably argue is going to be some more open ice, some more free play going on. And with that being said, pick the team you like and then pick their team total, because one team's getting 4. And I think tonight the team getting 4 is the Red Wings.
All right, Detroit team total over 3.5 here for Andrew with the it's definitely, I feel Red Wings I feel they have a good effort tonight. Will it be enough to wins the question? But Andrew liking the team. And I like Larkin props. Again, when your coach kind of gives you the business, you expect a response. You hope, excuse me, to see a response. And we'll see if we see that here from him. Jason Zucker, the old vet for Buffalo, is actually starting to heat up a little bit. Goals in 3 straight games for him. I like the value on Jason Zucker for Buffalo here tonight as far as finding the back of the net. We know Peterka's been good. Thompson's been bounced back so far this year. Dylan Cousins scores last night. But Jason Zucker is really, really starting to heat up a little bit right now for the Buffalo Sabres. Good value there with him tonight. All right, we got 3 games left. Colorado, Nashville. Nashville minus 130, home favorites. 6.5 the total in this game. The Avs have basically an AHL, ECHL type roster right now. It's unbelievable. 6 of their top 9 forwards are out. I mean, they're already scrambling right now. Who's going to play with Rantanen and McKinnon? It's when everyone's healthy, it's supposed to be Nichushkin, Lehkonen, or Drouin, one of those 3 guys. But they're all out. They've all missed time most of the year. Lehkonen, Nichushkin, Drouin. They then put Ross Colton up there. He is on IR. They put Miles Wood up there after that. He's now out. I mean, it is just a mash unit, especially up front in the forward group for the Colorado Avalanche. Like I said, 6 of their top 9 forwards are out due to injury. And now the latest blender and experiment, throw shit at the wall, see if it sticks for Jared Bednar, finding someone to play with McKinnon and Rantanen, is Yoel Kiviranta, who's going to get that shot, it looks like, with McKinnon and Rantanen. That being said, it provides some value for sure to bet whoever's playing with McKinnon and Rantanen right now with all these injuries. And Kiviranta has scored 4 goals this year for the Avs, so why not take a chance with him playing with McKinnon and Rantanen? So I don't mind that look right now. As far as the second line, Casey Middlestat's been very good. His props probably continue to be worth a look. Don't look now, but in the last 4 games, he scored a goal. He scored a goal in the last game, and he's now up on the second line. Ivan starting to score goals right now for the Colorado Avalanche. So we'll see if that can continue here tonight on the second line. So I think there's actually some decent value now with some of these players up the lineup for Colorado with all the injuries. What do you make of Nashville? Obviously, it looks like they were starting to get some wins going, get on a bit of a run, and they take a little step back this week. They lose in overtime to Tampa. They lose 5-1 at home against the Edmonton Oilers, the McDavid-less Edmonton Oilers the other night. Although that being said, oftentimes teams step up first game without a key player and the best player, and we saw that from Edmonton. But that's been Nashville. 1 step forward, 2 steps back for them this season. I haven't moved on this game yet, side or total. I'm waiting for the goalie situation, and I'm not moving until I know for sure, because I want to fade Colorado, but I don't want to do it if it's Onanen, and it might be Justus Onanen tonight, and he is by far, it's not even close at this point. He is so much better than Georgiev, and he is so much better than Kakkonen. Kaapo Kakkonen was Kaapo Kaka the other night against Tampa Bay. as expected. So you want no part of any of those two stiffs in net right now for the Avalanche. But Justus Onanen has been very good, and he's been the guy they've been winning with in net for the Avalanche. So we'll see if he's in net. That might get me to pump the brakes if he starts about going against Colorado tonight, but we'll wait and see on that. It's not easy to lay a price either with Nashville. They're so bloody inconsistent right now, but it's hard to take Colorado. They've got an AHL roster right now with all the injuries up front. So we'll see. It all depends on goalies for me where I go with this game. I might go over the total if it's not on it in this game. We might see some goals. What do you think here, Alex? Colorado, Nashville.
Yeah, if my choices are going to be McDonald's, Taco Bell, and White Castle, I think I'd rather starve. And that's what I'm talking about with the goalie situation of Colorado. Like, you can't back any of the three. Onanen, yeah, he's the best of the three, but that's not saying much of anything. This is a guy where we were fading left and right last year for a reason, because he's not that good. None of the goalies are good right now for the Avalanche. They're in a world of trouble. They don't have any forwards. They're basically the Colorado Eagles. So give me the Nashville Predators in regulation plus $1.10.
4-1 though he is as a starter, so we'll keep that in mind. But he did finally give. He's been giving up 1 goal, 2 goals in a lot of starts, but against Ottawa he did give up 4. Against the Senators, but they were still able to find a way to win that game because they gave him a lot of quote unquote run support. To steal a baseball term. What do you like here, Andrew? Avs, Preds.
I like what Alex just said. That was funny. I gotta start. I might steal that off you, Alex. Honestly,
Go for it.
He's got great interludes to his analysis. Sometimes that was
pretty good. Yeah, it depends on what mood you're in. All those could be decent, but also trash at the same time. Both of those.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, look, a lot of times I use other examples and other teams as a part of my handicap for a specific game. So I'm going to read you guys the Calgary Flames last handful of games before yesterday. They gave up 5 to Utah, 5 to the Golden Knights, 5 to the Jets, 4 to the Hurricanes. Okay. So why would yesterday's game be a shutout victory for them? What would convince anybody to think that, you know? And for me, when I look at the Avalanche, 5 against the Lightning, 5 allowed against the Blackhawks, 4 against the Senators, give me the under 6.5 in this game. Because when your team is struggling and you got all your guys out, you got to realize you're not an over team anymore. Yeah. You are an under team for the time being. You cannot be the team that plays first to 4 or 5 wins. You have to be the team that plays win games by scoring 3 goals. And I know this is a game that's going to feature a lot of studs still, even with the injuries. It's going to be a tough under to take for a lot of people. But this is one of those ones that stuck out to me right away as an under, because I think that, when you get your ass kicked that many times and you realize you're undermanned, you got to learn how to win some low scoring games. So give me under 6.5 here. And also, let's go. Boston on the board.
There you go. That's all they needed to get this offense going. Put a goalie that's not that good in net, and all of a sudden everything's solved. Problem solved. There you go. 1-0 for the Boston Bruins there, taking the lead against the Philadelphia Flyers. And by the way, the Dallas Stars have suddenly struck back for 2 and have tied the Panthers. So we're 2-2 there in Tampere, Finland, in the second period there between the Stars and the Panthers. So and Boston again. This is a big break for Boston because I've seen both of these guys, Fedotov and now Kolosov in his one start didn't play very well either. So this is a big break because say what you will about Ersson, he's not a perfect goalie. Oh, he's leaps and bounds better than these two guys.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely.
There's no doubt. Like he's not Marty Brodeur yet at this stage of his career, but not even close. But he's a lot better than Fedotov and Kolosov, and that's probably an advantage now for Boston that Ersson unfortunately gets injured there for the Flyers. All right, Utah and Vegas. We've got the Vegas Golden Knights -160 home favorite, 6.5 the total. I mean, this is puzzling with Vegas at this point. Same shit as last year. You're invincible at home. You can't be beaten can't be beaten, but you're very good at home at T-Mobile Arena and the Fortress, and you can't win to save your life on the road consistently. And we're starting to see that again from the Vegas Golden Knights this year. Of course, they go on the road, they lose to LA, but back here at T-Mobile Arena, undefeated, unblemished so far this year. The Vegas Golden Knights 7-0 here at T-Mobile Arena. They welcome in a Utah team that was struggling, 4 losses in a row, but they got right with a 5-1 win against Calgary. That being said, don't want to step in front of Vegas at home right now. They've given me no reason to bet against them at home right now with the way they've played. They're off a 6-3 loss. I don't think they were thrilled with the way they played against the Kings, so they'll be looking to bounce back here. I lean Vegas in some form, maybe team total over. Utah did get their offense rolling. We'll see if they can carry that over here into this game. I don't have a strong feel for the game, but I wouldn't step in front of Vegas in that undefeated home record until I see something otherwise. What do you think here, Alex? Utah, Vegas?
Keeping it simple. If it's Vegas, it's first period over, 1.5 minus 130.
Yeah, I mean, the first period overs for Vegas have been money. We go to Chris Otto, our good friend, his chart. They are one of the best first period over teams in the NHL this season. And it's been that way pretty much start to finish. The latest numbers right now for Vegas are 9-2. 9-2 to the first period over this season, the Vegas Golden Knights. So I'm with you. I think that might be the best way to bet it is first period over here. Andrew, what do you like in here with the hockey club, Utah and Vegas?
Max Freely is trying to guess that I'm going to be on the Knights team total, and I'm going to use a thing that Alex says. Not so fast, my friend. I'm not going to be on that one today. I'm actually taking the dog. Give me Utah plus 140 here.
Oh, wow. First loss at home for Vegas. That's a little bold.
Would you guys believe me if I told you Vegas is number 5, is the 5th worst team as far as expected goals allowed on the season? Expected goals allowed, number 5. They're getting bailed out by some offense, and they're getting bailed out by teams not capitalizing on their chances. Nobody's really talking about them because I feel like, I'm not saying they've been pretenders so far, but I haven't still been that impressed by this Vegas team yet. And I couldn't agree more with you guys with the first period over. And as far as Vegas money line, they play better at home than on the road. They're a different team at home, especially in their early years of this team. But Utah is going to be a team, guys, of waves. They're going to not play well. They're going to play well. They're going to not play well. They went through a streak of playing really well to start the year off. Then they went through a slump. Then they got home from a little roadie. Then they started playing some good hockey again. I like this team. And I'll tell you what, they're still the old Arizona Coyotes. Let's not forget about they're still the Coyotes here, just with a new name and new jerseys. But this team has some swag around them, an offensive core that's producing every night. And if they can get some defensive play and a decent goaltending against Vegas, I think they can get behind them and play some good hockey. The speed for Utah might be the difference here. I don't think Utah should be plus 140. That's a dog I'm on tonight, guys.
All right. I like it. And I like Utah. I want to back Utah in certain spots for sure. I love Clayton, and I love Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther's I'm a fan already. He is just absolutely phenomenal for this team, and the way he can, his hands and his release, shooting the puck he's probably got a top 10 release in the NHL already. Dylan Guenther, as far as just shot release of the puck when he shoots it. I think it's as good as it gets. And obviously, Logan Cooley, what if he gets on a bit of a run? What if Matthias Maccelli, what if he starts chipping in here for the Utah Hockey Club as well? So I like a lot of the pieces offensively for them. Big challenge. Vegas won't be in a good mood. And back home where they're undefeated after that loss to LA. But Utah, like I said, they're going to be a dog that's going to step up and surprise teams in certain spots. We'll see if that's tonight. As far as props go, I mentioned Guenther. Why not? As far as props, Maccelli's worth a look as well, in my opinion. And then for Vegas, close shave Barbashev. We talk about him every game, so it's not even a shock anymore. Ivan Barbashev, with how good he's been. Dorofeyev and Howden probably have good value as well on the second line for goal props for Vegas tonight. All right, we have reached the final game of this Saturday slate. Vancouver and San Jose. Canucks minus 280, road favorites, 6 the total. Canucks off a shutout loss to New Jersey. You know what that means. System play. Over first period, over full game. We don't even have to go into extreme detail anymore. Not when it's 16-2 to the first period over and 13-4-1 to the full game over for teams off a shutout loss like Vancouver suffered 6-0 against New Jersey in their last game. Nothing more to say. You know the angle. You know how great it's been. 2-0 last night. First period, full game over sweep with the Islanders Sabres, with the Islanders off the shutout loss. Back to the well tonight. Canucks Sharks, first period over, full game over. Alex, what do you think here, Vancouver, San Jose?
We're on the system play, but I'm just going to kind of quote some prices because you'll have to kind of maybe shop around to get the best of the numbers. At FanDuel, for example, you get your best value with the first period over right now, laying 134. For the totals, you want to get a 6. The 6s are around that BetMGM, minus 120, Caesars, minus 120, and DraftKings, minus 122.
Good stuff. I actually think, and because it was such a bad game, too, for the Canucks, And look, I know San Jose's won 3 in a row. Let's pump the brakes just a little bit. Utah, LA, and then Chicago, who've kind of had issues. And they're playing hard. And I like Warsofsky. Like I said, I like that they gave him the chance as far as to be the head coach of this team. And I think they're responding to him nicely. And don't forget, wait till they get Celebrini. Celebrini's knocking on the door of returning. He's starting to skate again. They hope he'll be back by the end of the week or at least next week. So Macklin Celebrini probably will be back sooner rather than later. Sharks are playing better hockey, but Vancouver embarrassed the other night against New Jersey in the Hughes Bowl. I think the Vancouver first period puck line might be worth a shot here in this game. I might have a smaller stake in that as well here in this game. Andrew, what do you think here? Last game, Vancouver, San Jose.
You stole it from me, man. You stole it. You led right into it with what I was going to say there. I like that play, the first period play. I think there's going to be a lot of people in the hockey world, the hockey betting community, are going to try and make money on the Canucks in this game. And it's going to be a regulation. It's going to be a puck line. It's going to be a team total. It's going to be something. And who knows? This Sharks team might screw with people right when they get the opportunity to. But a lot of people don't like to play first period puck lines unless they're getting a great price, right? I find the most advantageous time to play one of these puck lines is when you're getting a price like this, because a lot of the time the choke from a team happens later, not early, right? A favorite like this could take their foot off the gas pedal and win, let's say 4-3, but they're going to win the first period. It's the off a shutout. It's the off getting your ass kicked. It wasn't just a 2-0 shutout. They got beat down. It's a Saturday night game. They're going to be up for it. Pedersen's being called out by every media outlet there is. The third line has not even been as productive as before, and even the defensemen need to clamp down a little bit and stay at home more. Stop jumping into the rush. I don't know who all these guys are. It's Quinn Hughes, and everybody else should just stay back. Your position is defenseman first, and I find that these days in the NHL, there's too much of that. Defensemen all want to be like Cale Makar these days. You know what? People are still going to earn their next contract by being a stay-at-home defenseman. And tonight, I'm hoping to see 2-0 after the first period. Canucks, I locked in plus 115, first period puck line for them, and I'm hoping that they get off to a really good start tonight.
All right, Canucks first period puck line to have that. I know one thing I said a couple of shows ago about San Jose when they were losing until that Utah, and even the Utah game. Remember, my best bet was Utah, I believe, first period puck line, if I'm not mistaken. Or it was definitely a bet I liked.
It was puck line. Yeah, no, that was your best.
That was my best bet. Utah first period puck line against San Jose. Going into that game, San Jose had been trailing after the first period in every game since their opener against St. Louis, other than their game against Anaheim. That was the only game where San Jose had not been trailing after the first period. Now, the last two games, the Kings, they were tied after the first. Chicago, they were trailing after the first. They were down 2-1 to the Blackhawks after the first period. So really now when you look at it, there was the tie with LA and there was the game where they were not behind after the first period against Anaheim. Those are the only two games for the San Jose Sharks since the opening night game against St. Louis where they have not been trailing after the first period. So they have been a very slow starting team for the majority of this season, and we'll see if that continues tonight and Vancouver is able to get on the board and get a lead after the first 20 minutes. As far as props, just quickly, Arshdeep Baines, I'm telling you, top line with Pedersen and Garland. He's got value. Doesn't mean he's going to always click, but coming off a shutout, I think Vancouver gets some goals tonight. So Arshdeep Baines, there's value. DeBrusk, Miller, and Besser look like they're on the second line for the Canucks here tonight. We'll see how that. Garland's, I think, got value. What a show of guts, too, by Garland. I love that fight that he had the other night with Eric Howla. That was great in the New Jersey-Vancouver game. Little flyweight bout there with those two guys, Eric Howla and Connor Garland. And then for San Jose, and I've said this about San Jose props, Eklund, Toffoli, Zetterlund, Wenberg, those are the guys you want to corner if you're going to think they're going to score goals. They're the guys doing all the scoring for them. That being said, Ethan Cardwell, third game now in the NHL, and they're giving him a shot on the second line for San Jose tonight. So there's probably a little bit of value with Ethan Cardwell if he does indeed play on that second line tonight. Great stuff, great show. Great to have Andrew McGinnis in the house. Brings back memories of yesteryear for sure here on the Ice Guys show. Hit the like button. Make sure you sign up, patreon.com/iceguys. We are truly humbled and grateful and thankful and just so appreciative of all the signups. The signups and subscribers are through the roof on the Patreon page. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, bonus content, daily betting cards, sides totals, player props every day posted on the page. So make sure you check it out. And again, your $10 per month goes a long way to supporting the show. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month.
Yep, new goalie charts will be coming up after the weekend. And then check out the Ice Guys store. You got 2 days left. Free standard shipping on all orders. So put everything in your cart. Go to checkout and select standard shipping free of charge for today and tomorrow, all the way through to midnight. We got everything in stock right now. That's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, Andrew, anything you want to mention and promote?
Yeah, I mean, my show is at 11 a.m. Eastern on weekdays. So, morning show sort of for me on Wager Talk TV. And then you get the updated goalies and information with the Ice Guys. Of course, you guys are 3 p.m. Eastern. Is that right? Or 2 p.m. Eastern?
2 p.m. Eastern,
Yeah.
3 p.m. for you. You think 3 p.m.
I'm still getting it
Halifax
confused.
time.
It's tough for me sometimes. But 11 a.m. Eastern on Wager Talk TV. And I don't have my Twitter handle there on my screen right now, but McGinnis Picks is my Twitter. So, yeah, thanks so much, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We have a bargain bin special of the night segment to wrap up the show and best bet. So that's coming up, Andrew. Have a bargain bin ready, plus 300 or better prop, whatever one you like. Best bet bargain bin special of the night coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsman, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great sponsors of the Ice Guys show, including Boston Hemp Inc., 20% off all orders on the site using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, we've got our bargain bin special of the night. We had one come through for us, courtesy of Danny DeKaiser, our guest yesterday. Adam Gaudette at plus 900 for the Ottawa Senators. See what we can find for the bargain bin tonight. Alex, what do you like here with your bargain bin special?
Yeah, I'm taking a more traditional approach, kind of like how you usually do, Ian. You usually look for a guy that's moving up in the line. You usually look for somebody that's playing against his old team. Going with Lars Eller of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Doing exactly that, moving up to the second line, playing against his old team, the Montreal. Get him at plus 370 over at FanDuel, anytime goal scorer. So Lars Eller for the Penguins. That's my Saturday bargain bin special.
That's a good one. I didn't
What a
even
price.
That's a great
Two
price.
goals last meeting, too? Holy crap, what a price that is.
I'm betting that. I totally blanked on that. It just slipped my mind. You know, Lars Eller, and he did play well in that game against Montreal earlier this season. Former Hab, now with the Penguins. Great one. I like it a lot. Lars Eller, Pittsburgh Penguins. What, plus 380?
370.
370. Great price still for Alex with his bargain bin special. Andrew, what do you got for bargain bin special?
Geez, the pressure's on. I've been seeing you guys cashing these tickets here. Alex taking a guy against my team. I'm going to take a guy on his team. How about Captain Nick? Plus 300. Second line center for the Chicago Blackhawks. I'll take him. I know that just meets the qualifications of the bargain bin special here, guys. But like I said, I like the over in that game, and I think both teams get involved. I think the Blackhawks have been struggling to score lately. I think this could be a spot where the LA Kings, again, a veteran-built team that might have their foot off the gas pedal a little bit in this meeting, and the Hawks will be hungry here on a Saturday. So give me Nick Foligno to find the back of the net tonight for the Hawks.
There you go. El Capitan, Nick Foligno for Andrew McGinnis for the Chicago Blackhawks with his bargain bin. I'm going to give you two because one is from a day game and one will be from a night game. So I'm going to give you two bargain bin specials today. I'm going with Donato's Pizza. Ryan Donato for the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, what can you say? 3 straight games with a goal, 4 goals in the last 3 games. The price is more than good enough, too good for bargain bin special worthy. So plus 575 for Ryan Donato, Chicago Blackhawks to find the back of the net. And the other one I'm going to go with is Yoel Kiviranta for the Colorado Avalanche, likely to play on the top line with McKinnon and Rantanen, that whirling dervish of who is going to play with Nate and Mikko with all these injuries for Colorado. And it looks like it's going to be Yoel Kiviranta here tonight. So plus 480 for Yoel Kiviranta to find the back of the net on that top line. Based on his position in the lineup, it is absolutely worth a shot at that price. So there you go. Kiviranta and Donato. 2 bargain bin specials here.
I really hope all 4 of these come in tonight.
That's going to fatten the wallet just a little bit if they all do. All right, great stuff. Best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yep, last game of the night, heading out to the desert. Utah, got Utah and Vegas. First period over 1.5, minus 130. Like I said, Vegas 9-2 to the first period over, so that's a hot trend. We're going to keep on riding. Go Golden Knights and the Hockey Club over 1.5, minus 130. My Saturday best bet.
All right, there you go. First period over, Utah and Vegas. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Andrew, what do you got for it? Great to have you back on the show, by the way. Andrew, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, really good to see you guys. Shout out to the live chat. Bumping as always. I try and tune in every now and then when I can to the show. And it's funny to be on the other side of things in the live chat there. But guys, my best bet for today's show is going to be a team that needs to get going. We're going to take that team total up and over with the Red Wings over 3.5 goals plus 115. That back-to-back spot for the Buffalo Sabres coming off a game against the New York Islanders. It's going to be some open ice in this one. I think both teams score, but I'm going to narrow in on one team to score here. We'll take the Red Wings in somewhat of a rapid revenge spot after losing 5-3 last meeting between these two clubs.
All right, there you go. Detroit Red Wings team total over 3.5 for Andrew McGinnis with his best bet. My best bet, well, because I'm coming off a loss with the best bet yesterday, I want to win tonight, and I'm going to go with the thing that just keeps on keeping on. 16-2 with first period overs. We're going to go Vancouver, San Jose, first period over here tonight at a really good price. You know, only minus 130 in some spots with this. Canucks Sharks over 1.5, minus 130 first period. This is 16-2 first period over specifically for teams off a shutout loss. 13-4-1 with full game overs. Let's see if we can cash another system play. Vancouver, San Jose, first period over for my best bet. Great stuff. Andrew, anything you want to say before we wrap it up? But it was great to have this little mini Ice Guys reunion here today.
Hey, that's it for me, guys. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the games, and hopefully we can come off, end the show on a really good note. And I'm telling you, watch the reaction we'll see from the media if the Bruins have a good game today. They're going to act like they're just a brand new team again after beating the Flyers and Kolasov. So we'll see what happens on that one. But really, really great seeing you guys, and hopefully we can have a good night tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Great show. All right. The Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Andrew McGinnis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday night, everybody. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys.